Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Bianca. Hi, Noni.
Hi, Chantal.
Oh, so good to be here on a Saturday. And we are presenting to you today Everyday Holiday. So we are the folks at Realm of Becoming. And today we have a painting process in store for you. This is maybe up to a 4-hour painting process that we're going to go through today. And we are offering this from our hearts to yours. And so you can be watching us now, or you might be catching the replay later on YouTube. And we'd love for you to subscribe and stay tuned, because we've got loads of stuff that we want to share, that we've been sharing over the last couple of months. And we've got a lot more to share going forward as well. So welcome to Everyday Holiday. What a title, right?
Yeah. I think we're all in need of a bit of an everyday holiday at the moment.
Yes, please.
I found just planning for the 12 o'clock live start today, and I was putting my hair up, normal, getting ready, and I looked in the mirror and I thought, governess. So, self-judgment, alive and well here. And I thought, what is this, and I couldn't find a place. I really wanted to wear flowers in my hair, and I couldn't find a place. And then I put it down and I just thought, oh, what do I feel like? And I went like this, and I just sort of like, I'll put it to the side, and I thought, no, I'm missing something here. I really feel like symmetry today, So then I put my hair like this. I never wear it like this. Why? And then, you play it back, and it's that playful, holiday, childish, young look. And I'm like, where did this stop? Oh, well, I became an adult, right? I am an adult. And it's like, there's no one in my family that would have ever thrown that on me, that kind of like, oh, don't wear your hair in pigtails, you won't be taken seriously. Where did I pick that up? And so I'm imagining it was TV at some point, some kind of, program I've picked up somewhere. And just doing this felt playful, I was like, it's that holiday vibe that wouldn't wear it to work like this. Why? So I'm judging myself, and at the same time lifting a layer, if you would. I'm like, throwing the status quo out the window today. So but yeah, very present today, getting ready.
I love that.
I love it so much, and I love the pigtails. I think that the pigtails, they are a winner, and you should wear them more often. I want to see them next time too, if they feel like making an appearance. But it's funny that those judgments that we acquire on our path through life, and we're not really even sure where they come from. It's like we just pick them up out of the general collective subconscious, really. It's like we just absorb them. I noticed them in my daughter. I'm like, she has the judgments, they started around 7, probably, these external judgments about self. And I'm thinking, where is this actually coming from? It doesn't really matter where they come from, though, does it? It's like one of the things that we're looking at exploring today is becoming aware of just some of those judgments that hold us in a particular way, and hold us in a particular way of being. And it's often these regular patterns of behaving that we have that hold our life in a way that we don't really enjoy. And going on holidays for a lot of people is a way of shedding the expectations that they put on themselves each and every day. So we're going to have a little play around with shedding some of those expectations today in a painting process on our canvas.
Love it. And we're allowing ourselves to have this time too, aren't we? Like we've talked about that before, when we sort of warm up in this chat time. And it's just one of those, okay, I'm going to become more aware of me and spend time on getting to know me and where I'm perhaps wearing a persona that is uncomfortable and has me in such a way that is just expected of myself, or I've just become so well patterned, but I'm not necessarily happy wearing that particular outfit, as we may go into that topic as we get along. But still, it's wonderful just to allow ourselves this time, and you two are great to paint with, so
it really does feel like an everyday holiday. I'm like, getting ready, I'm like, oh, we've got the live stream, and then I sit down and go, oh, actually this is a bit of a treat, really, isn't it, to set aside that time and go, I have to block out everything else. What a shame. What a shame that I have to block out all those things for the right now. But we do that when we go on holidays, don't we? We set aside all of these things that we usually allow to press in on us and affect us and change the way that we perceive things and change the way that we feel. Mm-hmm. Actually, I want to share that story, that how this workshop came about.
Yeah.
So my partner and I think I'd recently got back from a holiday overseas, and I was lamenting the fact that my partner couldn't come with me. And he actually doesn't like traveling that much. So as I suggested that we go on holidays together, I got pretty shut down pretty quickly. And then I went, actually, rather than getting upset, I'm like, why don't I just approach this evening as if we were on holidays overseas in a new city? And the most incredible chain of synchronicities happened that night. We had the most wonderfully blissful evening so we were living in Melbourne at the time, and we would usually have a pretty rote pattern of what we would do, where we would go out, and it was pretty boring, really. My life wasn't singing at that stage. And yet this night we decided to catch a tram into the city. And we would usually stay in the suburb that we were in. So we caught a tram into the city, and we went for a walk, and there happened to be someone playing the most incredible trumpet underneath the art gallery. It was just echoing everywhere, this just the most hauntingly beautiful music that called us down. So we went down the stairs, and there seemed to be no one around. There was no one around at all, apart from this lone trumpet player. And so we gave him some money, and then we walked off, and a gondolier person came up, was like, would you like a gondolier ride? And we're like, oh. He's like, no, I have to go down there to pick up someone anyway, so just hop on. And so we got a free gondolier ride down the Yarra. And then, among other things, that night there was a new restaurant that had just opened that was booked out for like 6 months in advance. And as we were walking past, we just happened to be, the guy stepped out and said, oh, do you want to come in? We just happened to have a cancellation. And so we got a table at this fabulous new restaurant that we wouldn't have any hope in hell of getting a seat. And it was just an absolutely magical evening, with that lightness and that freshness and that adventure feeling that we have when we're on holidays. And it was such a beautiful experience to know that we have that available to us always, and yet we shut it out. Whatever we do with our mental processes, we stop being open and available to that magic and those synchronicities. And so we were talking about what would it be like if we could be open to that magic and those synchronicities at more moments in our life, or even always. What if we approached every day with, what can I discover today? What magic am I opening my day to?
Yeah. And how can this be an adventure?
Yeah.
So it's right. My day. And I love in that story, Bianca, I really hear that openness to, we're strolling along, and we're just, oh, this is a lovely thing that happened. And we're just enjoying this. And oh, what shows up next? Okay. Wow. Yeah. What an offer. All right. And then we get to choose. Yeah. Okay. We'll take that offer up.
Yeah. And it was really by going, so what would we do if we didn't know where we were going, and we didn't have a plan or a preconceived idea of what would happen next, if we were just exploring from one point of joy to the next. And
Yeah, there's this what is that recipe? Because we can easily say, okay, let's go out and just be open to what happens. But it's an invitation at that point when you say it out. Without that, setting that intention, almost putting that invitation out there as you leave to go on an adventure, then perhaps you won't see those things. They might be there, but you may not be open to witnessing them. So it is that little ingredient around invitation to the unknown. And then what comes before that? Why is it that I may just go through every day and without being present to that, not have those little sort of synchronicities and exciting moments on an everyday basis? And how might that be? And it's that dulling down and not being present to it. It is that almost the monotony of routine. And so yeah, let's shake it up.
Yeah, let's shake off that monotony of routine, because I tell you, I could do with a fresh invigoration of that right now.
Me too. So shall we get started on our lovely canvases here? Begin our process. And for those of you who are following along, notice that we've got different size canvases here. I'm working with a bit of a smaller one today, and we've also got them portrait or landscape, and really inviting you to start from now, like choosing what feels right for you. Which, do you want a portrait or landscape for your canvas? How big or small a canvas do you want to work on today? So just bringing in those choices of what feels right for you. And what we're going to start off with for our process is we're going to look at this canvas as a portal of sorts, or an opening, just as we were talking now about that openness and that invitation to the unknown. We're inviting you now to just look at this canvas. You can put your hands on it. It's nice to put your hands on it too while you do this, and just notice the edges. What is the boundary of this canvas? And you can put your hands in the middle of it as well. You might even want to move them around a bit and just feel the texture of it. Just notice that this is a space with this boundary or border that we're working within today, where we are expressing ourselves into this space here. And so just letting our bodies meet that where it is. Yeah. And also it's nice to add a little bit of something to it. So I'm going to spray some water on mine. And sometimes people like to use I've just got plain like filtered water. Some people like to use scented water as well. Sometimes people like to also have, they have rose petals or leaves or things like that, and they might want to move them around. I'm kind of drawn to just using my hands with it. So even after I sprayed it, I'll just give it a light touch and just notice that. Notice what it feels like right now. And just notice how you feel too. As you're giving yourself this, you're letting yourself pay attention to this in this way. What might seem like a really simple thing, but letting yourself be as present as you can possibly be in this moment, and noticing this portal that you're working with. Yeah. And with that, I am going to invite Bianca to take us through the next part.
Thanks, Chatelle. So as we are about to pick up our paintbrushes, I just ask you to consider how you feel on most days. You probably had some awareness of that over our discussion. And think about how you feel on holidays, and just allow yourself to gently reflect on those states as you contemplate our next step. So we're going to start to think about ways that we can bring this holiday awareness into our everyday awareness. Those little subtle shifts that you wouldn't even be aware of, that I articulated a little bit through the story of my normal night out, as opposed to the night out where I was pretending I was on holidays, and then I really was on holidays. So we're going to take a metaphorical bag with us on holidays as a way of just marking that we're making a symbolic gesture that we're going to learn about what it is that we're going to go on holidays. So I invite you to choose a colour that you are going, and we're going to paint a bag. So this is the bag that's going to symbolise you're going on holidays. So you can have a look at your paints and see. All right. I'm going on a yellow holiday. And you know when I was talking about whether I had everything, you know what I don't have? Because I don't have a palette. So I'm just going to use this piece of paper. A palette. I have umpteen million jars of paintbrushes. Look, I'll show you all my paintbrushes. I've got 3 jars of large paintbrushes, many water things, much paint, no palette. That's right.
I love that, Bianca, because first of all, for those of you painting at home, if you don't have a palette, use a piece of paper, or I like to use ice cream lids as well. But also, how about all those times we go on holiday, right? Best laid plans.
Yes.
And just that one thing that you're like, oh, I really need to find out where I can buy one of these now. Like, where's the phone chargers? Because we really need that. Or the adapter or something.
I'm just going to put a bit of orange in this yellow so that you can see it a bit more.
Yeah, I've got ochre and spring green that wanted to.
Nice. I had no idea that my bag was going to be this colour. I imagined kind of a nice brown leather satchel, but that appears that it's not what's coming with me on this holiday.
I'm literally going to use the colour that my travel bag is.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I actually do have a bright orange fake crocodile leather patent overnight bag that some friends gave me for my 30th birthday. And at the time, I thought it was the most hideous. The time I was into like black, and I'm like, patent bright orange crocodile leather. Nice. But I tell you what, I have grown to love it. I have grown to think it's the most fabulous thing ever, and it's on its last legs.
I hear that. And I hear that on the, like, when we're really into, say, black, for example, or specific palettes, right, for our wardrobe or accessories and things.
Yeah.
And something that's different throws us off, and we're like, is this okay? What do we do here?
Yeah. So on that note, I'm thinking it's very appropriate that orange is coming out here because, orange was on my voyage out of black. Orange was the colour that was calling, and it was so challenging. So, go all in for allowing whatever colour is calling you. Even if there's that little part of you calling it, no, I couldn't possibly. All right. So when you've got your bag in there in a bit, I'm just going to invite you to get your spray bottle out and just give it a bit of a spray down, and you can work over some of those bits just because we're wanting it to be pretty loose.
I've got a hard case luggage, so it's one of those ones that everything inside can't be damaged, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I'm clearly traveling light. I've just got this over the shoulder. I'm off on this.
I've got a backpack that I'm looking into, like a vortex. So it's like opening the top of it when everything's just like a muzzle in there.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. I think that I'm happy with that, and I'm feeling kind of excited. So, Noni, would you like to take over and lead us in the next? You know, I just had this vision of this workshop being like one of those. Did you ever do those fold up drawings as a child, where you'd like draw the head and fold it, and then just the neck was poking out, and then you'd pass it on to the next person and they'd do something, and then I was just like, and they were so much fun. I was just like, oh my gosh, that's exactly like what the workshop is like. It's great.
It is. Okay, so when we go through every day, we're just going to I guess do a little bit of self-reflection on those things that where I gave you an example around, I'm an adult, why would I wear my hair in such a playful way, you know? So think about these things that you identify with personally. It could be anything. It could be how you're feeling. It could be an opinion of I am a housewife, I am an executive, I am a woman, I'm an adult. It could be anything that you in your everyday would describe yourself as. You're welcome to write it on a piece of paper. You can censor yourself, or you could be free, and I would invite you to be such. Pick a color that is perhaps to you feels monotonous almost. Would you say, ladies? Something that is almost boring or humdrum or every day that you want to shift and change up. So whilst reflecting on these things that you may identify with and say I am too, then let's choose a color in that vein for now. You know, we'll take steps, we'll shift this, but just let's reflect on that particular aspect. I'm actually going to write it in the bag, straight on the canvas. And if you want to, spray the canvas with a bit more water if it's still quite dry in your region. Write words, paint symbols, just move with that color and just shift with it. Try not to sort of like get too judgmental on what comes out. So personally, I might choose something like umber, which has a little bit of brown to it, some serious brown and some grey in it. Some men for me.
I'm going to go with some Payne's grey.
Yeah.
The safe beauty of the Payne's grey. I mean, it's the most beautiful of greys, but it can be pretty monotonous if your life is all Payne's grey.
Yeah, I as you if you've watched the last video or at some point there, I did share that a month ago I lost my 14-year-old fur kid, and it was on a Thursday, and I find myself at the moment, I drive away for work in the month of July, and when I go past the vet on Thursdays, I just tear up and express grief on those days. And yet every other day, I'm not necessarily present to the grief. And I don't time it for Thursdays. I don't know, it just kind of happens. And not every Thursday, but it has happened on Thursdays. And I got to sort of like, I'm having happiness and having laughing moments whilst I'm also experiencing grief, and it's been an interesting thing to explore and be present to and become accepting and okay with. And so, you know, I am in grief, but at the same time, I'm not, I guess, perhaps at some point in my past, I might have tried to wallow in it, you know, that I need to feel really, really low and the depths of despair, because that's what grieving is. Having experienced grief as a very young child, it was kind of put on me, you know, you need to be crying more, you know, you've just lost your mother, cry more, you know, you're at the funeral. There was this expectation placed upon you as to how you express grief. Mm-hmm. So in this time round, yeah, it was it's almost like an evolution in self that's been witnessed. It's wonderful. Yeah. So I may write something on the canvas around grief, and I'm okay with that. And so if that's where you're at in your life with something that is, has some sadness to it, that's okay. It's okay to be in that state where we're not looking to not take that on holidays if that's how we're feeling, and deny a part of ourselves, I guess is where I'm coming from. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing so openly, Noni.
I've done a fair bit of work to get to that point without choking up in the old throat chakra.
Yeah.
Yeah, once upon a time, there's no expressing that. And that's, I guess, for those of you new to intentional creativity, that's my personal path. Yeah, I use this almost as not only transformative and self-exploration and becoming aware, it's also, it's got that healing component, that medicine, where expression and witnessing at the same time, it just has this, well, it's a phenomenon, isn't it? That it really does tap into an aspect of self that I personally haven't had lived experiences that have been this potent around healing and medicine. But that's me. And it's internal, I'm actually healing self. I'm not looking for an external person to sort of then tell me. Yeah, I'm empowering myself at the same time. It's pretty.
Yeah, that comes through really strongly with what you just described, like your whole experience of even noticing how you are allowing your grief process. So that's really, that freedom is coming through, that like the freedom to choose, right? Like for yourself, like what's right for you.
Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah, it's a level of self-acceptance perhaps that I wouldn't have allowed myself to have before.
Yeah.
It's that contorting of pieces year after year that when you're raised and how you be with those emotions. And then what then after so many years is really natural, and what is learned almost, what is rising up from within, and what has been overlaid and that is almost patterned. And it's those contortions, that I find through these processes, that just a little piece of me sort of unravels to the point where I'm able to actually be more of my own shape.
Yes. Yeah. And what I love is that we can see it unfold in front of us and name it and work with it. And I feel like there's a gentleness about that, of working in this way.
I just realized I'm writing inside my bag like a good little bunny, all nice and in formation, all lined up. I'm about to get quite free, I believe, even though I'm painting in this rather monotonous color.
Yeah, do it.
I just painted all outside the bag. How's that? I'm like,
You did too.
Yeah.
Is one of your words rebel?
No, but my words are so self-judgmental.
Oh,
like painfully self-judgmental. To the point where I'm sitting there struggling to find the word that describes the level of self-judgment that I'm searching for. And I'm like, well, that's that's pretty shocking, isn't it? If there's a word like, and I've gone through all of these horrible words, and I'm still like, that's still not enough. It's still there's still something that is there that the words that I've so far found have not yet captured it. I'm not going to read the words out, but they're rather
strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's interesting, isn't it? So for those of you that may have similar things or anything, just be kind to yourself at this part of the process, and have faith to that it's a process.
Yeah.
And that some emotion might come up in that realization that no matter how much work you think you may have done or not done on yourself, there can still be stuff that is keeping you living life in a particular way.
Yeah. Yeah, and really bringing in that compassion for yourself, that if you're noticing that's what's showing up for you. And also, as Bianca mentioned, that is a process, and also we're basically at the start of the process, by the way. So there's a lot more coming yet. And what is here on the canvas now most of it probably won't be visible towards the wrapping up of our process today.
Yeah, that we're working on the transition and the transformation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of this.
Okay, how are we going? Would you like a few more moments to keep on mark making here?
Just a moment. I guess like the more brave that you can be to be so brutally honest right here with yourself. Like, don't hide from yourself here in this part of the process. Just allow whatever is trying to come up, because we're here to transform that. So don't hide from it. So if you can see it, it's coming up to be transformed. So just get it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, we're working within the container.
Yeah.
Right. It's just what's here in this space.
Yeah.
Lenny, how are you going?
It's incredibly dry here, and so it's almost like, when can we move on to the next one?
Yes, I'm done.
I think like what would be perfect right now, if you're ready, is just to, I guess, have this bridge onto the next step. And maybe we'll just invite you to close your eyes, just be where you are. Take a deep, deep, deep breath in, a deep cleansing breath in, and just release, and just feel the tension in your body and notice where it is. Take another deep cleansing breath. And as you release just that tension, just let it go with the breath. Just let it all release. And just allow yourself to be. One last breath as you take a deep cleansing breath in. Just imagine unzipping a coat, and as it unzips, breathe out and have it just fall off your shoulders. Just have that cloak fall down to the ground at your feet, and just allow yourself to be just as you are in this moment. So just ease into this next step and enjoy. Come forward when you're ready.
Lovely. That was very helpful to have that movement and that exercise just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, to check in with ourselves. Love it. Well, now we are inviting you to bring in an intention for yourself. What is an intention that resonates with you right now of what you would like to bring in as you do this process, and to bring in at this point of time, marking this point of time? And we invite you to also write your intention on the canvas or paint it. You can write it using, if your canvas is dry, you might want to use a marker or a Sharpie to do it. I'm going to use paint on mine, and I'm going to paint in the words. And so you can choose a color that calls to you to bring in your intention.
If you use some incredibly dark colors, or there's something there, it just spray it, watch it fall like the coat, just ease into some effortless states right now. It's just inviting you to not be so tense as we move, and be a bit looser with each step as we move on. As I'm looking at this, it's quite muddy. So if you've done the same thing for something we're quite muddy, we're going to bring in another color now. So choose something that you really, really enjoy to look at. I'm actually going to make a color up with two colors combined.
Once you've written your intention, if you're painting it and if your canvas is quite dry, you might want to, you can spray it a little bit as well if you want to let the paint run a little bit.
I liked that. That was very nice, painting that on top of all of those awful words.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was quite a difference, wasn't it?
Yeah, indeed. And it was interesting. I thought I knew what it was, and it changed as I wrote it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
and I love how yours came out so big. The words came out quite big, and then this kind of beautiful magenta on top of what you have. Yeah.
Very wanting to be there. It was interesting because the end was going to be that I can be, and then it was like, no, it's that I am.
Yeah.
So that
really
was
claiming.
It was really interesting.
Yes.
That was even in that short process, in that short amount of time, and the shift in terms of how I feel in my body now, painting all those things, and then actually making that intention, the shift already is massive. So yeah, it's
I claimed as well. Same. I mean, the I am was really, really strong. Yeah, it's quite a powerful thing when you stand in that part of your being, and you've gotten to that point where you're ready to really that I am, and and realizing that there's a gap there, and that anything you place in there, I am, that you are believing it, you're focusing on it, you will create it. And that when you realize just how powerful you are as a creator, that we all are, that I am, then it's like it adds this weight to the I am. It's just like,
I can't read yours because I just realized we've all got that setting on that that does the mirroring, which is kind of nice because it means to write stuff. But there is a way to turn that mirroring off on and have it.
That is true.
You found that button because I can read yours, Bianca.
Oh,
yeah.
Mine actually turned upside down, so I think it's back the front and upside down.
Which is amazing and incredible to look at.
You got a
hieroglyphs
on there. No one's going to be reading yours. It's great. You're like fully in your zone. Yeah. I just loved how I was like, mine was like, I'm free to be all that. Mine was going to say that I can be, and then it was like, that's not it. It's like you're not can be it. You I am it. Yeah. I am free to be all that I am, and that just claiming that on top of all of that. So good.
Mine came in with the choice as well, in terms of claiming choice in that freedom. Yeah. But it came in as I am queen of my dominion. So it is where I am, regardless of holiday, here, work, wherever. Yeah. Claiming it. The choice. A lot of responsibility there.
I love it.
Clearly, you're up to the challenge.
Must be.
Yeah. So true. Mine came through as simply more and more love.
Beautiful.
And that came through, and it was just so different to consider those words and paint those in compared to the words and judgments that we were looking at in the layer before.
Yeah. Great. Excellent. Yay. So how are we going to get ready to go on holidays? So we're just starting. So I'd like you to contemplate, either as I say that, like, we're going to get ready to go on holidays, what are you taking? Or you can do a little visualization if you like. It's like you can imagine a wardrobe in front of you, and if you close your eyes and imagine your canvas to be like your visionary screen, and suddenly there is a wardrobe with anything you like, any possible item of clothing is in this wardrobe, anything in the world. And I want you to see what are you attracted to, what is calling to you, what colors, what feeling of clothes, what is the embodiment of yourself that you're wanting to take on this holiday. And from that little visualization, come back, and I want you to choose up to 3 colors of paint. It might be 1, it might be 2, it might be 3, but just choose some paint colors now. They may be similar to what you had before, or they may not be. They may be different. It seems I'm all about hot pink at the moment, so we're just going. You see my hot pink boots? I even got hot pink boots.
Oh,
They were an everyday holiday.
are you wearing them right now?
No, I haven't got any shoes on at all right now. But
Oh, sure. Yeah.
the hot pink boots were very exciting. I liked them a lot.
I have this element of what's coming next, and now I'm seeing that that unfolding, the next, where you talked about having the hand it on to the next person to do the next part of the drawing. So I'm just going to pick 3 colours because I'm a bit sort of like, what's coming next?
Yeah. Well, we're just going to pick our 3 colours, and then we're just going to play with them with just marks. I just want you to make contact with your painting in a way that is just bringing your presence to it. So there's no preconceived ideas. I just want you to bring whatever that emotion, feeling, lightness, whatever those colours evoked to you when you saw them in your wardrobe. Bring those feelings into your body, allow them to come through your eyes as you see that colour coming onto the canvas, and just play. You can put them over the words, you can put them in and around, you're just free to do whatever you like. Little dots, little marks, any marks or any movement that you called to do.
Oh, I'm going to Hawaii.
And you really are. It's a Hawaiian shirt already. So
I have a skirt that I just love to bits, and I actually bought it on holidays. And when I close my eyes, I just, in the wardrobe, instantly transported to when I saw it and just how happy I was on that break and the adventure of it all. It was just great. And I think now when I wear it, it's obviously bringing back those memories. It's like a portal on its own, that skirt.
fantastic. And just as, like, at the moment, I'm making some marks over some of those words, and I'm just noticing how I feel when those colours are erasing some of those things that came before. And realising that they're just a state, just a judgment, just an awareness that's able to be changed.
Isn't that an amazing visual representation, just in paint?
Yeah.
That we can change what we see in front of us, and at the same time we're working through exploration of different states of being in the moment through choice. Love it.
And as you're making your marks, if there's any spot that you get to where you still feel particularly tight in your body, you can just even, as you're doing those marks, you might want to shake your feet about, wiggle your bottom, just move those hips, see what it feels like to just ask the body where that stiffness is, what's stuck. You might even want to put down your paintbrush and shake your hands and shake your body and just breathe into it and just to move.
Turn the canvas around again.
Turn the canvas round. Yes, absolutely. Shake it up.
Open to change.
All upside down. Yes, open to change. What is it? None of this mindset is fixed. What were we talking about? We're entering into an evolutionary
mindset.
Yes. And if we wanted to stay here with this for a little bit, we can, or we can move on. If we want to do some music here and just continue to working with those colours and that mark making, we can, or we can just.
I'm almost out of paint. I'm making my way through some finishing touches.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah, me too. I'm reaching finishing touches as well.
It's like, have I neglected my edges? Have I focused on my face and forgotten my shoes? You ever done that? You've gone to work and you realise, you've gone somewhere and you realise your shoes don't quite match the outfit.
I forgot my shoes when I went to my brother's wedding. We had
that's great.
I like Luca was maybe 18 months old and I'm like, hadn't gone anywhere for a long time. I'm like, okay, I'm sorted. And then we get to the day of the wedding because we had to go and stay. And I'm like, I've got no shoes for this. Yeah. So yes, I'm familiar with that.
I have worn my slippers to the mall. Yeah, that's true. It has happened.
At least the bride was so beautiful. I'm sure no one was looking at my shoes. Having said that, the family photos are a little interesting.
I really spend a lot of time here, I'm finding.
Yeah, I've got an outfit for morning, noon. I remember when I was young, the bag was ridiculously large on certain trips because you didn't know what it was going to be like. So you wanted to have all bases covered. And it was just sort of this unconscious packing, and reflecting now on just how selective and curated the persona is now that I have on holidays, as opposed to the perhaps more free, ready to take on any moment, maybe overpacked, but that comes with perhaps the insecurities of the time, and I'm okay with that. That was just that point in time, but certainly more freer for adventure. And there's something about that this age that I'm putting on that I need to take off, that I'm realizing as I paint. I've just got this, it's like it's almost like the layer that I want to take off is age.
That you're painting now, Noni, reminds me of the image that I had in my head of you describing you working in London.
Yeah.
I don't remember the full context or the conversation, but I remember the image that I created in my brain of what you had on, and what you've got there on your page, on your canvas, is almost like what I had in my head.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I did have one thing of everything on in that final moment when I decided that I looked like a walking human Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And it was that tipping point of it's time to leave the grey scale of this city and make my way home, even though I'd attempted many times. Many carrots kept getting dangled in my face, and I just stayed longer and longer to the point where, firecrackers for earrings, just every part of me primped and pruned. I was camera ready, hair done, every makeup ready, just, throw a camera on me. I was ready to go. It was ridiculous. Every different texture, even the skirt with the tulle underneath and the different layering, the shape of a Christmas tree, right?
I remember the conversation now, but clearly my subconscious like changed a little, because it was fun in my. It was yeah.
Yeah. It was my coping mechanism for, and I didn't realize just how overboard I'd gone with my dress to counteract the balance of the lack of color in my environment. Everything was pinstripe, from black pinstripe to grey print, just the monochrome. And I mean, I knew people would focus on me on the tube and things, and they kind of look, but I just thought, well, that's probably because I've got a bright red coat on or something. But it was that moment where I'd even taken that layer off and walking to the elevators, and the door pulled back, and there's that large mirror in the back, and I've seen myself and I just went one layer too far. It was an awakening of sorts to just how much I was suppressing myself. Contorting to stay there. Coping mechanism of sorts. Yeah. Now I put color on the canvas. Probably a little bit of color on me, but more on the canvas nowadays.
Yeah. So how are we feeling? Do we feel like we need it to do some movement and shake off anything that we still are carrying, or are we good to move on?
We're okay to move on. I'm just wanting to do some gentle movements for a few moments, just to notice how I feel in my body as well, like at this point of the process.
Yeah. I'll just one more spray and I'll be with you.
Alrighty. Noni, will you like to guide us through our next step, or would you like to move your body a little first?
I'm moving without thinking about it.
All right. Well, you move us into our next step.
I guess from a physical standpoint, what we want to do is move into this next step. We want to shift a gear, so to speak, and even representing that physically, like by taking a step forward into a new space and envisioning a destination or a place or somewhere it is that you can feel that vibe, and what is it that takes you and transports you into that state. And so for me, I was this morning getting ready, and as I went through the room, I was like, when you get that moment to yourself and think, oh, what could I do that's really nice for myself? And what I picked up was, and it's a very humble tool, right? And this, it's you can get them in, well, around here there's places you can get them, but its origin, I believe, is from Thailand. You literally, or somewhere over there, you literally can get into these nooks either in your foot or in your hand, and it is just that release and that acupressure, you know, where it just, and I got this at a time when I was just free and I was floating about, you know, so I even relate to it visually and just enjoy that time when I found it and the people that I was with and the relationships I was having on that break, you know. So it may be that when you seek that sort of what does that look like for you, it may feel like softness underfoot as you take that step forward, you know, that sinking sand under your feet or those lush green leaves like grass under your foot. And what do you smell? What is it that lifts you, that makes you feel that that joy in the air, that crisp freshness? Or is it some scent that you really enjoy to wear on your body? What is it that you feel like, that is something I would really like to have for lunch, and that you know, maybe it's something really crispy and full of water, and when you bite, it's got that flavor that you love. What is it when you close your eyes that you see? What is it? So take yourself now on your visionary screen, close your eyes, and just step into a space that reminds you of being on holiday. What colors do you see? Are there shapes? What's familiar? What's new? What stands out to you? Just take a few snapshots in your mind's eye. What is it in this space that you're really attracted to? It may be a feeling. It may just be a color. Maybe a lightness. That sun on your skin. Maybe the sweat on your brow as you walk up a mountainous path to a wonderful view over the valley. Where are you? What do you see? I'll leave you there just to be present and come back when you're ready.
That was beautiful. I had to chuckle because you like come back when you're ready, and I was like, I'm so blissed out. I might just stay there.
I have this, you know, the birds when they chirp up and their throat is kind of like, you know, upward and they're singing. I have this sort of like somehow this beak, and then I was like, oh wow, and just looking at the colors in this space, and then as I come back, I'm like, oh, all I can hear is birds. I'm already here. Anyway.
Yeah, like that.
Where are we moving to now? Would we like to paint some symbols that we saw? Did you see symbols?
Yeah.
What was it? Was there something more structural that you saw, or?
Mine was definitely a landscape, and it kind of surprised me, and then it made sense. But so mine was definitely a beach, a very Australian bush beach. So So like it surprised me because when I think I want to go on holidays, I don't think I want to go. But then when I'm like, I need to go on a holiday. If I'm just going, I will pack to go to the beach. That is, so I don't know why I was surprised. But yes, so interesting. So it seems I have to paint some sand and some waves. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, but that seems what I'm being called to do. So
fascinating, that feeling of surprise though, Bianca, like just to simply have that feeling of surprise with it.
Yeah, I know, because I'm like, oh, that's such a typical holiday thing. I don't usually think so, but I love going camping to the beach, so. Yes, interesting. Clearly, I've got some confusion around holidays in my psyche somewhere.
You'll paint out now. I had lots of landscape as well, so mine was very beach focused too for the first part. Then it changed to mountains, like snowy mountains, very different atmospheres and climates. Beautiful though, just beautiful, pristine. So Noni, when you said, oh, you can hang out here, I was like, whoa, I could really hang out here. And I don't know if I want to open my eyes from being in these beautiful spaces, and I can really feel the sunlight on my skin. I love that feeling when golden sunlight is on your skin, and just that warmth that you feel on your skin when that's happening, whether you're in a snowy place or whether you're on a beach.
Mine was an experience of feeling, perhaps because inviting people to visualize is different when you're actually speaking as opposed to like receiving. And so I was a lot more present to the other senses other than visual, but I definitely have this as this like a flower of sorts that is quite holiday like. Have you ever seen the lush gingers that are just they almost look waxy in their native environment, so lush, so abundant with foliage, and then you get this bright red, pink, orange, just this phenomenal flower. I have this with me visually, but definitely the freshness of the outdoors. And I guess in this state, when we do mark our canvas and just really honor that experience of being on holidays in paint, you don't have to do something representative. It could be symbology in a way that you imbue that feeling into that symbol. So I invite you now just to mark your canvas in whichever way you feel is appropriate for you, and honor that feeling that we have and that joy that we have in that space that we've just gone to. Very busy canvas. Won't be judging myself here, but
Do we want a little bit of music for a couple of minutes while you add in our symbols and our representation?
By all means. I'm going to grab some stencils. So we haven't worked with stencils in any of our monthly offerings, and I'll just use two techniques, but you can just see them visually. You're welcome to just use whatever it is that you have around you that honors that vibe. So go for it. Bring in the music.
how you're going.
Good.
Great.
Yeah. Especially once we changed the music.
It was quite a diverse set there, wasn't it?
It was.
Bringing in some unknown surprises.
The searching the royalty-free vaults is always fun.
It's
Yeah, I went
special
to,
kind of fun. Yeah.
I'm sure I was in a concert hall there for a minute, and
Yeah. Yeah.
perhaps
You were.
Ibiza. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you didn't imagine it. Just wanted to include, different sets of experiences that people might be having, different places they went in their visualization.
It was good. It was very good.
So I've been sort of drawn to using a wet one and a stencil because my canvas is quite wet, to pattern in via removal as opposed to addition. And this wet one works quite well with the stencil in patterning in. And the intention I was holding whilst doing that is almost naturally came just through the act of removing layers, and even being present to the different personas through that we put on when we go out on for dinner with friends and have that type of break, or that sort of solitude on holidays, taking yourself off to the beach type thing, and just really staying in the quiet with the rolling waves and the book, or just the sun on the skin, and just taking off all the layers that being really, really present to just the stillness, I guess. Each layer that came off, I got closer and closer to being on the beach on my own in the stillness. It's just the raw of nature.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I was surprised with how literal mine wanted to be translated onto the canvas. And a beach scene is not in my normal repertoire, let's say, of painting. But what I was struck by was the tree wanted to be a combination of Payne's grey and another colour. And it had this whole dialogue about how it was about growth. And this was all about growth. So the colour that I chose for all those things that were shifting came back as the tree, as like all those things are about our growth and development and evolution as a person. So that was a very nice metaphor. So it was interesting how metaphorical it was, even though it was coming out so representative.
Yeah. I was quite present to mess, like the messiness of it all, in that growth phase, in that sort of being willing to sort of strip back the layers, and being willing to look that closely as well, and just the messiness involved in doing that. Quite metaphorical, really. Wonderful.
You know what? I'm having a little chuckle to myself as I'm looking at this, because I feel like it's a beach and a city, and a beach with a city is something that I will never like. I must be challenging myself to the sort of holiday I've never had before, because I have a categorical aversion to the idea of going on holidays to the beach where there's a city.
Right.
But that appears to be what my painting is calling in. So perhaps I should open my perspective a little and cease to be so rigid about what things I will enjoy and what things I won't.
I've just got the Gold Coast in my head because I can see a casuarina. I'm like, city. I like I'd love to think of somewhere in Brazil because I'm sure that there's cities right like Rio and whatnot right on the
I've got the Gold Coast. Don't worry, I've got the Gold Coast in my head too. I've flown into the Gold Coast airport and swiftly departed. But anyway, maybe there's a Gold Coast holiday in the calling.
If you get the right angle in Hervey Bay, you just really sort of, it can look like a little bit built up, but it's not. So
yeah. Right. Well, I'm open to. I'm not. This is what I was calling in. I'm not closing off any avenue because of preconceived ideas.
Okay. So wet, this canvas. So your canvas is really wet.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how it's very warm in this room, and it's taking some time to dry today.
Yeah, I blotted mine a little bit from the earlier stages. It was quite wet then, and I've kind of refrained from spraying the last couple of layers.
Really keen to use orange, and it went to mud very quickly before I'm like, okay, so out comes the stencil. We're doing removal.
How did you go, Chantel, in your...
I found I wanted to do lots of these shapes, wanted to come in, like quite bold coloured in shapes. And normally I go for quite pattern painting. Like I like lots of details and I like lots of little bits here and there. And that may still come out as we go along in the process. But at this point, it was like claiming and being very bold with the shapes. So bringing in a sense of boldness and going, staking a claim. This is what I choose. So this is what I am. This is where I am. This is what I create.
Nice. Very nice.
And I normally go crazy with my color palettes. And today I'm wanting to just bring it into a kind of a more narrow choices of palette at the moment.
Yeah, I'm loving, like we knew that this process we could be a bit more divergent, but I'm just loving how the extreme dynamic range between all of our paintings.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
I knew when I woke up this morning how playful I felt. I was just feeling, just that childlike, oh, you know what I might be. That conversation, Bianca, when you shared the story about going out and having this wonderful night on the town of synchronicities and unplanned events that were just so much fun. I think that was when you mentioned Shilajit, was it? Think of this, and then when you described it, it was sort of this childlike where you've got all that energy as a child. And so my order came through a couple of weeks ago, and half a pea has made its way into a hot drink each day for me. So when I woke up this morning, I think the Shilajit has finally reached like a critical mass in my body, and it's now every day when I wake up.
So everyday holiday for you.
Awesome. Yay!
Big tails, let's go, But it was also this almost a knowing that there would be freedom at the canvas to just almost use my fingers, like just that kind of play. Just get on in there and just almost finger painting.
Awesome.
So this is what I seem to be seeing on the canvas, huh? I have a lot of freedom.
We can start talking about our next part as we start moving into it. Of course, you can also keep on painting here if you've got more symbolism to add or more shapes or views are coming up for you. And what we're going to do next is, because we're going to spend a bit of time in this next part, we're going to bring in some lights, like a layer of lights. So we invite you to consider that idea of the sunlight on your skin, or being in the warmth, or when you see sunlight at different times of day or evening, and it changes tone, and it can be really golden at times, or it can be really bright white, and the way it lights things up. And just considering, where do you want to bring in light to parts of your canvas? And if you have, like for me, I've got some shapes here. So what I'm probably going to start with is actually adding some lines and dots around part of these shapes, around certain edges to begin with. That's what I'm going to be doing on mine. But you can do it in different ways. So you might want to, like some of us have some bits of unpainted canvas, and you might feel called to actually bring in some representative of light to some of these unpainted parts of your canvas. You might also want to bring it in a bigger way to some of the shapes and symbols that you have. Like if you want to imagine, do you feel like as you look at your painting, where do you feel like the lights are coming through? Where are the parts that light is showing up? And it might be even from just one source. You might want to, you might imagine like if the light's coming from here, is it striking things from this side? And are you wanting to paint lights from that side? Or is it coming full on? Is it coming from the center and it's like radiating outwards? Or is it coming from another direction? Or has each part of whatever's on your canvas, has that got its own light source that you want to highlight? And do you also want to treat it as a bit of sparkle in the sense of bringing in lights, bringing in highlighting? Do you want to treat it that way? And you want to bring in some lighter colors or some contrasting colors. It doesn't mean you have to use a yellow, for example. You can if you want, but you can also use a contrasting color with what you've got and bring in some highlighting. So we're going to spend some time here, and also just considering what are the kind of energies you want to bring here. What are the feelings and the energies that you want to bring into your playing with this idea of an everyday holiday in your daily life? So how do you want to represent that in your image here? Noni, I feel like you had a surge of energy just then as we started talking about, because you were like, yeah, you got really bouncy, intrigued to know what was happening for you at that moment.
It's this, I don't know, it's almost like a just a enjoyment of the painting process, and what I'm starting to imagine is going to come next. It's just, I'm shifting into the next moment. I can't divulge it all because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, but I did have this sort of just like this almost like a freedom movement. So I was coming from the center, and then I've moved my canvas, and then all of a sudden I'm coming from the top. So but it's like, oh, let's get moving. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. And all of you watching at home, you can see that we've got three very different diverse images here, and you can see what we're doing as well. But also listen to yourself. What do you feel called? And shortly we'll play a bit of music as well, because we'll spend a few minutes here playing with the lights and the energy and highlighting.
Abstract is good, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Or not, if the case may be.
Well,
today.
Exactly. It's all good. It's all welcome. It's whatever you feel is right for you. just want to invite people that you can also bring in a sense of movement, if you like, with the brain and the lights. So if there's a sense of movement, and that's that form of the energy of like, how is the energy moving? How are you moving through your everyday holiday? And if you want to bring a representation of that into your image, you can, with whatever that feels, however that feels right for you, whether it's a certain type of brush stroke in a certain shape, working with what you're doing with the lights as well. So you can also bring in that kind of somatic energy of movement as well here.
I think I'm just going to paint the whole thing white now. I'm about ready to go that light.
Well, you could.
Actually, it doesn't look that much different on the screen, does it? Anyway, I'm having a great time. I've been using. First, I started with the light, sort of like a mixture of a very light yellow and white, yeah. And then I shifted into it's like a copper light mixed with opal dust. So we've got some serious shimmer going on here.
Ooh.
Like copper mixed with if you haven't seen opal dust, it's like glitter suspended in a fluid.
Right, beautiful.
Yeah. So, and as I was doing that part, it was like putting in threads of, actually the blog post from Beverly Blanchard came through. I found her blog a while back, and quite often she'll sign off a share with "May your day be filled with many pleasant surprises." And so I was threading that intention of may my day be filled with many pleasant surprises, and with that holiday vibe, you know. Yeah. So lots of threads.
I love that. And at one stage when I glanced at you, you were doing that movement, and like really creating the threads in there.
Yeah, it was getting.
Yeah, it's like your whole body was in it. Yeah, I love it.
It was like just sewing up with the knee. Maybe you're like, oh, you hurt. Like, a movie from my childhood showing my age, but you know, swipe off.
It was the crane, right? Was it the crane? Was it crane?
I think that was the
ultimate move. Yeah.
I'll just go with many pleasant surprises.
Love it. Bianca, how are you doing? I'm just loving looking at your image.
I'm having lots of fun, and I'm actually feeling very blissed out, hanging out in my portal, my little portal to my everyday holiday here. Yeah. So when I put in the lights, I literally just wanted to cover everything with sunshine.
Sure.
Everything wanted to be bathed in sunshine. So it kind of happened quite quickly. And then I was like, and I think it was just before I sat there and went, I'm done for a while. And then I was like, just before you said, I'm like, oh, I just could just put white, I'd like move with the like the scintillating of it. So I'm like, oh, now I've got lots of dots that I put in. Now I could be here for another long time.
Right. Yeah.
And we should mention that anyone like watching on the replay, feel free to pause and spend as long as you like in.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have the bonus of being able to choose whatever music you want to listen to.
Yes, indeed. And if anyone's got any brilliant ideas for royalty-free music to let us know in the comments.
Yes.
Where we can find some good
ones.
That we have been, it's not so easy, is it? To find music you can live stream on YouTube.
Yeah, it's a bit of a journey to discover that one.
Yes, because you can do it country specific, but all wide specific. Like being able to stream something free worldwide is problematic.
Yeah. It's all good. We're working with it.
We are, yeah, and it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I also relate to what you said, Bianca, about just feeling blissed out in this particular part of the process and just enjoying. I wanted to move quite quickly with mine and get lots of lines in, and just I felt like moving fast and turning the canvas around and adding to it. But it was very energizing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm loving the colors that are coming in.
Yeah.
Very light, as in the feeling of light.
Yeah.
No, you know. Yeah,
I know.
Sunshine light, vitamin D light. I'm talking.
So I'm ready just to curl up in here and say bye now.
Right? They are feeling like that, right? You just want to dive inside a little.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how wet people's canvases are, because I know that we're meant to be doing another step before we have a break. I'm just wondering whether or not we might need to break prior to the previously arranged step, depending on how wet.
Yeah, it seems.
Mine's ready to glaze, but I can go with you. I've been.
No, we're not glazing yet.
Well, I'm ready to glaze twice, maybe.
Right.
Continuing my lights and just happen to put a glaze in. How's that?
Now, hold your horses. Hold them. Hold on to them.
All right.
I know. I'm ready just to sign off. Go, yeah, that's all right.
But that's a good point, though. Some of you who are following along may feel like you are complete at any point, and you might want to sign and title.
I have to apologise now because now my dog is here. No one else is here. I locked myself away because the house was full. Now the house is empty, and the dog is very upset that I'm here chatting to people, and she's on the other side of the door. So she's just grizzling and barking away on the. It's like, let me.
Everyday holiday.
Yes. She says, it sounds fun in there. I should be in there too.
Yeah. What are you doing?
All right. Well, I was going to invite people to have a little bit of a moment in their everyday holiday, and to go and step outside into a garden if you have one, or find a piece of something from nature. So if you could go outside, even if it's onto a nature strip or to a house plant, if that's, and find something that you can bring back that we're going to work with. I have this that I prepared earlier.
Yes.
Which has got a lovely selection of things that we can work with. My Monsteria kindly donated some leaves the other day, so they're pretty cool. I'm feeling like I might select that, but I'm also so drawn and attracted to rosemary at the moment, so I actually suspect it's going to be the rosemary, but I'll hold up the monsters just so that you can have a look at them.
Such a beautiful leaf shade.
Aren't they?
Oh my God.
Aren't they? Like you were talking about stencils before, Noni, and I'm like, oh, I could just get that,
yes, and
that leaf out and use that as a stencil, which I may be called just to demonstrate that, because that would be
love that idea. So should we take a break now then and step out and gather a couple of things, like a short break, or do we want to take it?
Well, yeah, we're going to get the things. Maybe what we could do is incorporate the collecting of our things into our break.
Sounds good.
We can have a break.
Yeah.
For 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Good. And then we'll and come back with our said piece of nature.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're breaking for 15 minutes.
Noni, you can make that call. You're the one that was. How long do you need to break for?
Yeah, 15 sounds great.
15's good. Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. Okay, so 2:35. Lovely. We'll see you very soon.
Hello, welcome back, everyone.
Hello. Hello. What pieces of bounteous offerings did you discover?
Well, I actually got mine from indoors rather than going outside right now. And so I've got our lovely orchid plant, which has two like antenna-like kind of stalks to it, but such a beautiful color.
Yeah.
And I also love the leaves. I think the leaves were inspiring me earlier, in one of the earlier stages when I was kind of painting leaf-like shapes. And I was just imagining these large, expansive leaves that if you shrunk yourself down and you could just like lie on it and be in the sun on one of these beautiful, like sturdy leaves.
Nice. Very nice.
Those flowers remind me a little of, so this is what I grabbed. I was just, when I went outside, I was drawn to there's a lot of overarching sort of plants outside, that have just got this really weeping habit. And this is from the pigeon pea. I'm not sure if you can see in the camera. You see the little delicate flowers?
Yeah.
So there's a combination of seed pods and flowers that are still coming on. So it's going to be quite an abundant crop this year of the old pigeon pea. But yeah, they're very dainty, sort of orchid-like almost, with the little sort of
Caps.
Yeah. And also this has been quite windy, and this is blown out of the curry tree that I have growing here. I have a lot of air plants, and this is one that was on the ground. So I thought, oh, well, you can come in for a little bit of a show and tell. And I just love the structure of this plant.
Yeah.
And it's rather large.
Yeah.
Very healthy specimen.
Reminds me of a spiral though, like an evolutionary spiral.
Yeah. And the way, I don't know if you can see, so it just keeps going and going, and they just keep sort of growing upwards towards the sun. They're quite beautiful the way they when they're left on their own. And calathea leaf. I was like, well,
beautiful.
aren't you just gorgeous? And it's got
Wow, look at the two-tone.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Looking much healthier than mine, trying to live here in my central heating. It's like, give me some moisture.
Yeah, different climates.
I know, but that's what's so lovely about coming to, well, we're doing a good job of a good showing for the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
This is just, how gorgeous is this though? This is so I just showed you a very beautiful, healthy leaf from the calathea plant that grows in the garden outside my side door. And then this faint beauty, which is a dear departed leaf, but it's so, probably can't see, but the way the light catches it here when it shows through, we probably need light coming from here to see it, just the transparency and the elegance and all the veins. It's just it's almost like sheer fabric to look through. That silk.
Imagine that.
It's really, really sheer.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, oh well, they're both just as beautiful, but
and that second one, the smaller one, it has a lot of dynamic shaping to it. Like even with what you're showing us, without the light coming through, you can just see that shaping of it and where the shadows are falling, and it's just, there's this beautiful, delicate sense about it. Yeah.
So much outside. I just bring it all in.
Yes.
I did bring more, but I'm trying to curb myself. I brought this. So this is a common weed. Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, chooks love it. It's very nourishing. I shouldn't say it's common weed. It just grows very, very well.
Sure. Yes, it thrives.
It should be abundant. Let's call it a weed. No, it's a very common plant. There we go. Very loves this climate. But yeah, so beautiful.
So cute. What is it? I am not familiar with it.
Around here, it's called Farmer's Friends.
Farmer's Friends.
Because once they do go to seed, this little daisy here turns into a lot of seed heads that quite easily stick to clothes and socks and the like.
Oh yeah.
And travel with the farmer like a friend.
Farmer's not friend, yes.
Well, it's not like it's a bindi, like it's uncomfortable if you get it in the sock, but not painful.
Yeah, a bit like the bidgewidgies down here, that like
bidgewidgies. I'm not sure I want to know those. not another itchy plant. Probably, yeah, bidgewidgie. We'll go with that.
Yes, so I'm going to invite you to make a representation, either realistic or symbolic, of the plants or one of the plants that you have got with you, and to include it some way into your painting. And that could be in a very large way, or it can be quite small. But I'm going to invite you to do that. For demonstration purposes, I should probably just put like this right here. But that is not what I'm called to do. So I'm just going to hold this here for you right now so you can imagine what it would be like if you were to put on some monster. You could use it as a stencil or a stamp, or draw it lifelike or smaller. So you can imagine how that changes the trajectory of our painting in such a way that this becomes the background, and then we're going somewhere completely different. These little marks down here that were left over from the underpainting have been calling to me for a while, and I've been working with rosemary over the last couple of weeks, and I actually found this at the Foodies Free laneway yesterday. So I brought this home, and these little stripes along here reminded me of some plants growing. And when I pulled the rosemary out, I'm like, oh, that's like that rosemary hedge that I keep seeing in my vision, which was a vision that I saw many, many years ago doing a plant spirit attunement journey with rosemary, when rosemary was revealing itself to me. So I'm actually going to turn this into my rosemary hedge. However, I feel like that I had to show you about the big leaf prints, and I might do some big leaf prints at some point, but right now that this smaller version is what I need to do for me. Yeah. So we can just start our mark making in as bold or subtle as you feel called, in representative colours or completely opposite colours. So if I go back to this one again, you may want to draw it as green, but simultaneously it could just be bright pink or bright orange, or what it may be, the feeling that that plant is conveying, not the colour that it is. Yeah. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay. You know what? I think I have to have both.
Oh, the leaf and the rosemary?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We might want some music here, Chantel, because we.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
How'd you go to tell? Were you still
Good.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I just felt like I wanted to just really bring in the magenta that was inspired by the orchids.
Yeah.
And just bring in those splashes of color about the place.
Beautiful.
And quite contrast to what's already there. So also just acknowledging, bringing in contrast, like just when we talk about life and daily life and everyday holiday type of life, we have contrast and different experiences and the surprise as well that we've mentioned before throughout our processes today.
Yay. Excellent. I was really aware whilst we were painting just how much we can like how much we often take for granted the nature around us and how much that contributes to our sense of well-being and how we can actually ask and request from the plants around us to help remind us to not get fixed or rigid in our ways of thinking and to remind us that we can blossom no matter where we're planted, so that we can have that everyday holiday every day.
Yeah.
We allow ourselves to shift that mindset.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And also considering that plant life cycle, right? Where the plants then naturally produce seeds and some, more grows, and there is that abundance and that thriving.
Yeah. You look like you've got an absolutely glorious garden growing there, Noni.
I believe I do.
It's like fabulous.
It really is.
These flowers coming out of the
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, you want emphasis now too? Like I'm just doing lines, and then paint me in more. I want more. It's certainly an interesting process we're going through here. Really enjoying it. Really enjoying it because there's so much intention with the strokes that I'm making in terms of the the more bringing forward now.
Yeah.
So of like the amplifying, I guess, or the materialization, the realization of the prior. Yeah, I don't know, but you know what I'm probably got my right brains just wants to paint right now. So.
Yeah. So we lose.
Now you can just.
Yeah, we lose words and yeah.
Where am I? YouTube. Oh. Right.
And Bianca, how's it feeling for you to bring in the leaf and the rosemary?
Yeah, painting the monster, that was so good. That's so much fun. I do happily do another one or two of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems to have a sense of belonging there, that leaf that you bought in and that size.
Yeah, it was nice. It was fun just tracing it. That was great.
Yeah.
That was really nice because it's not a form that I am at all familiar with drawing, and yet it's a form that we are all familiar with. So I'm like, if I just draw it, I'm like, I'll trace it.
But it's great. It is like you said earlier, like a stencil.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like working with a plant stencil that size is not something that I've really done before. So yeah, that's lovely. And it seems to have this element of playfulness, whereas the rosemary down here is just bringing in a bit of solidity and strength.
Yeah.
Certainly, I'm certainly feeling I'm still carrying that childlike playfulness through all the brush strokes, all the way through this painting. It's just this child essence, the vitality of child essence and the play of child essence. Yeah, it's great. You've brought out the everyday holiday in me, ladies.
You're a living example.
And the town has just started making noise. I can hear the music coming through the valley as the weekend festival kicks off here.
Oh, okay.
There'll be about 40,000 people in town tomorrow.
Ooh, right.
All, celebrating. It's an annual gig here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Nice. So do we want to play with that? Play here for a little longer?
Oh, I can let go. I can move on.
Yeah,
I'll drag myself away.
I'm happy to play here.
I feel like a lot of what we've done today are ones that you could carry on for quite a while. A lot of the places.
Yeah.
What are you suggesting, Chatelle?
We meet again tomorrow for 24-hour painting process. Expand the whole thing. Well, shall we
Move on.
look at our because our next part is also very very interesting and fascinating.
Where are we going to go next? Where are we going next?
Of what we're bringing in.
Right.
And,
Okay, I can stop now. I can't.
okay, Noni's going to lead this part, so Bianca, you can just keep on making marks there.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so we were looking at embodying what it is that we've just been painting in by way of form and physical form. And we thought at this point it might be nice to do a demonstration of different expressions of form and just a bit of practice too. So perhaps before going to your canvas and just bringing forward either a body or a face or an expression or of a form, we thought, well, let's do some demo on paper. And so if you want to grab some paper and a pen, pencil, whatever you have handy, charcoal, doesn't matter. Just going to bring into the camera. Okay. How's that? Yeah. Just for demonstration's sake, on your sheet, you could just draw a cross so that you end up with 4 boxes and just loosen up. And so if you're not familiar with drawing or painting any kind of form, this can be one way to just practice and let go. And for those of us that are even more seasoned, just try on different shapes, whether it be sitting. Think about when you're on holidays, what it is that if you were to look at your painting and see yourself in a holiday sort of state of being, would you be blissed out sitting somewhere? Would you be reclining? Would you be dancing? How might you move in that feeling? And this could be something we can explore on paper, do different styles, and then you're invited to choose one and we will put it on the canvas. So, for demonstration's sake, we'll just keep it really, really loose. So, be abstract, can be whatever you want. So a sitting style could do something that is really quite, dancing. Could be closed, maybe not. Maybe off the page. Haven't practiced very well like me. So just practice moving. And, we've got those traditional shapes where someone might be jumping in the air, long legs. Maybe you want to take over, Chantel. I'm clearly way too abstract for this.
No, I love it. I love what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what I love doing with free form is leaving my pencil, or in this case charcoal, in contact with the page and just letting it move around. So I produce a form that has arms and legs and a body and a face, and they're kind of like little dancing figures. Sometimes maybe both arms want to go up. And by not moving my charcoal off the paper until it's done, I can stop myself being precious about it and
Beautiful.
deciding, oh, the side needs to come in here, or this needs to be shown like this. No, I just want to show that these are moving, dancing figurines.
And have another sheet so you can get really warmed up. And we can just dance all over the place without even having any screen.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Such a great idea.
Oh.
I'm going to add some sitting figures as well.
I've got something that looks very much like Staying Alive right here. You know, that sort of 70s dance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha. Bianca, those are beautiful, beautiful figures. And they're very everyday holiday. I'm going to do a page without the grid as well now, so I can add in a whole lot of figures in different sizes. I'm going to do a few face shapes as well, where I just do it very basic. One line forms the bottom half of the face and the chin, and got one closed eye, got an eyebrow, and the form of a nose. You can even add maybe a little mark to represent a mouth. That is very abstract. Might add in a second eye. Very abstract, but very simple. So if you're new to doing face and figures, you can simply do a few lines and it's representative enough.
You've set the challenge with the one line, not lifting the pen. It's fantastic. Just get really into the flow, don't you? It's just
yeah. And this is a nice exercise too. Really go for it. Like Noni mentioned, once you're warmed up, like do quite a few, and fill up the whole page, and maybe even a second page, and you'll find you get more and more into it. A face here where I've just opened the eyes, that representative kind of eyeball in there. Again, just not getting too precious. There's no further details. It's just simply an open eye version.
I think it's a good time too, also just to practice. If looking at your canvas, you can imagine a shape in that canvas, how it is they might be moving in that landscape, and practice that on the paper before you go to the
Yep, absolutely.
Are they sitting? Are they standing? Are they jumping in the air?
Yeah. Is there one, or are you going to have a few?
Yeah.
It's an even simplified form here, where I'm using one line for each limb, and this time I'm taking my charcoal off the page. I've got a head, two arms showing up. I'm just representing the whole torso with a simple spiral, and then I've got two legs showing up like that. So if you feel drawn or feel more comfortable with a more simplified form, you can even do that. Just simple line representing each part.
Ideas.
I feel like we've created all these communities here, these dancing communities hanging out on all our pages.
Mine is certainly very much reclining.
Yeah, yours are lovely. I want to be where your ones are.
Like they're just like, I'm just blissing out here. It's kind of funny.
So good. So are we going to look at what we might add to our canvas?
I'm keen to do flowers, and I'm going to do rather abstract movement, as you have inspired me, Chantel.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I like about those freeform figures, is they do have a lot of movement in them. Really bring in that kind of energy if that's what you feel called to.
All right, I'm going to take mine to my canvas with some charcoal.
Are you going charcoal first?
I am going to go charcoal first. If it was more abstract, I probably would just go in. But as I'm going, there's a bit of realism happening here, and I need to just play
makes
with
sense.
Oh, yeah, that feels pretty damn good. I think I would like to be right there, right now, hanging out under that tree with the waves lapping at my feet.
Oh, it's just added a whole new dimension of serenity there, right?
I'm like, oh,
I want to be there.
A little, just chill out a little.
I really want to keep I'm quite keen to keep the flowers
I love your flowers.
They're beautiful.
Be a little. No, I'm not saying anything. I'm observing and witnessing and not adding my. I'm like, oh, I see this. No.
Enjoying witnessing your process, Noni.
I'm
You're checking out the garden and deciding what's calling to you.
Oh, I love how the flowers that you painted on just play into the flowers in your hair, so that you just seem to meld into your painting.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, up close, I'm not sure if you can see, but up close, the texture that our layers through each step have created. I'm really just, I don't know, there's some certain parts I just absolutely love.
So beautiful. I hope
really
that we get to see that right through to the end, because it's gorgeous.
It really is. And and that texture, like you say, is really coming through.
Yeah. Well, be brave, be bold. Well, don't have to be bold, but I'm going to be bold. Be bold. I'm talking to myself.
I'm just languishing in the best possible, in the best use of the word.
I see a face right here, so I'm going with the face. I didn't see it before. I was thinking about popping in little pixies, coming out from behind the flowers. I actually have a face right here.
All right.
Savvy.
Now, do we want some music, or do we just want to chat as we're bringing in our figures? What feels good at the moment?
Happy to chat.
Yeah.
Also happy to have music, but chat. I'm just so surprised by my painting, because from the very first time we dreamed up this workshop, never in a million years did I think that I'd be painting myself lying on a beach. It's just,
I love that has come out though.
Not what I had envisaged.
Isn't that interesting, the parallel with your story, Bianca, that you shared with us at the beginning about the night out?
Yeah.
And you didn't know what was going to happen.
Right. Yes.
I might play a couple of songs just for a
Sounds good.
couple of minutes. Nani, I'm just seeing this beautiful face emerging out of the garden.
She's got this it is just coming from that ether and materializing through the substrate into being. It is literally it's been that whole way through the paint of the into embodiment.
Yeah.
So it feels like she's coming through mist.
Yes.
In a very simple way of saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I really see that. And I really resonate with what you said as well, because I'm feeling I'm having such a good time bringing these beings to life. And it is like creating them out of what has gone before in this process.
This may not be a 4-hour gig. It may have to be one of those weekend workshops or, a 2-day event where we really dive into painting a face or, within what it is that we're offering here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can spend a long time, right? Even now with the figure in the face, and they just bring in more and more life is coming out of them.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying also the scrubbing on the canvas, because I've got the dry brush,
right?
And it's just been different so far to this point. Now that I've got the scrubbing going, I'm really, bringing in the light parts on the face and just each layer. It means something at the moment within the context of this this container and this theme. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. I'm loving the colors blending as well with what was there before and bringing that in as well, and that kind of scrubbing motion. It's really nice.
Yeah, she's got this nose coming through, and slowly putting on a little bit more weight here and there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been so long since I've painted a face.
That's refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, as much as I thought this was going to be abstract.
Yeah.
She's got some real bones about her.
Yeah. She's got some demands, right? She's like, no, I want my features. My features turning out, thank you.
Yeah.
Bianca, I'm just, is it possible to see your, is your camera dry enough to like bring it up to the camera?
Yeah.
Just to see your figure up close?
Yes.
She also has just
like,
really come to life.
She's like just blending in with the sand, like so interesting that she's just like actually one with the landscape completely.
She really is. And she's connected to that tree as well.
Yeah, I've got to paint that tree back over the top of her so that she's a bit under it, but then she's got all this gold that's like
wow, look at her
around her there, but she needs a little bit of work on her actual form. But yes, so I was just loving how like her arms and her legs were literally melting into the sand.
Yes, she's so relaxed. It's a state of relaxation that we all love, right? And probably some of us want more of in our lives.
Yeah, it's literally almost being embraced by the earth, isn't it? It's that softness that I was talking about underfoot when you first step into the space. This whole body, like,
yeah, literally just melting, just allowing your body just to melt into that full state of blissful relaxation.
I love how that large leaf it's almost like it's become a source of light, like representative of the sun.
Yeah. It's it sort of animates this whole area here, so it's like the animating principle of the sunlight, or the life bringing and exuberance that is found in sunlight. The way it's sort of merging with the wave,
the water as well. Yeah. It's like holding all those elements, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was really interesting too, drawing the figure in charcoal and then some of that dark coming back again. And I was like, and it was interesting because that was the only thing that stopped me completely just becoming the sand. So it was like, that was a really interesting like thought process to be having about, you know, all these processes and these things that these journeys that we go on through growth. They are kind of what hold us a little bit set. They are what gives us our definition, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
And
I love that analogy. Yeah.
yeah. So, and that they're not to be shunned or embarrassed of, because I think sometimes if we say we're trying to transition through something or metamorphose something, there's a part of our brain that thinks that therefore then that must have been bad. I am bad for having those things. And I think it's really important as we look at growth, we don't go, oh, a caterpillar is bad because it's going to change into a butterfly. That was just its transformational stages.
Yeah.
And we so often judge our own transformational stages. Like at this stage I was wrong because I'm not there yet, or at this stage there's something about me that should be here. And that means that we miss so much of the joy that is available to us at every stage of our life. And so if we can try to just remember that it's just a stage and just a phase, so much more joy is available to us.
So beautifully said.
Wisdom.
Yeah, tweet it out, people. Wisdom with Bianca.
I believe this one's going to be looking up. This. Can you take a photo when I do that so I know what to paint next? Because I don't know how I go up like that. I need some reference material.
True. That's a good point. But that's intriguing. I love that you thought of that, of her looking upwards.
I'm probably easier for one of you to look up for reference material than take a photo of it for me. Then look, you know, when
yeah, we can look up.
That was good that you put that in, because when I was doing this, I was aware of my skin and how that my skin sense being heightened and aware of the sensations and what's going on around me is really part of me being open to my experience of new places. So you're like bringing in the looking up, and drawing attention to the eyes, and I was really drawn to the sense of the felt sense through, and all the things that we perceive through our skin, not just touch, but that sense of excitement that we feel, like in our all the little senses all through our body. So it might be really helpful for those of you watching to just become aware right now of what is the sense that you predominantly engage with in this sense of adventure and joyousness.
Yeah, and actually that's a beautiful prompt right there, because we were going to invite everyone to do some journaling at this point of the process. So we invite you to go to your journals and write what's coming up for you. And sometimes it's not only writing that comes up, but there may be certain symbols that show up, or little drawings and things that you want to add in as well. But we invite you to bring to paper what's showing up for you as you do check in with what you are sensing, what you are aware of, what is arising for you at this time.
So are we going to go to another short journaling break here, or are we going to continue?
I wonder if we actually continue. Yeah.
I was thinking the same. And so those watching the replay can just pause now and do some journaling. and we will.
We've had our opportunity to share.
Yeah.
verbally.
We've expressed that outward, haven't we? So
Yeah. I'd like to say, you know, I'll meet you in the quantum if you do want to talk out loud. I will witness you there. Just saying.
Yeah, and likewise, if you did want to share at any stage, feel free to reach out in any of our places that you can chat to us, either on in our Discord or on the Facebook or Twitter or any of those spaces.
Yeah, on the YouTube and the comments under this video.
Yeah,
all the links will be there with this video.
Yeah. And like, if those of you that are new to Discord, we have just when you do accept the invitation to come in, there is a little just like what you would call a are you a bot and spamming, or are you a real visitor and you would like to come in? So there's just a little prompt to click on an emoji almost to enter the realm of becoming. In that space is where it's not just text based, but we can actually talk in person. There's a lot of options there around how you can communicate with us. So if you want to get out of the text form and into a more touchy sort of, there's people right there, come to Discord.
It's more dynamic.
There you go.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. I might just put myself on mute just momentarily and blitz a little.
Sure. Yeah, so we're going to shortly move into the next step, but if you want to get some notes down in your journal, you can, or if you're continuing to tend to the figures or the face or whatever kind of figures are coming out for you on your image, and continue tending. And we're going to start moving to our kind of closing parts of the process very soon.
So I was just making sure my canvas was completely dry, because we're going to do, I'm saying it with a little bit of apprehension, we're going to do a glaze, but I'm like, I'm really loving, I'm really blissing out on my colors, and I'm like, a glaze? I'm like, but oftentimes we can get to this point in our painting, and there can be some disharmonious aspects and some bits that just aren't really coming together, and a glaze can be a wonderful way to bring all the parts of the painting into unison. So I'm just going to contemplate my glaze at the moment.
And there are different ways to do the glaze as well.
There are many different ways to do the glaze. I was just trying to think which way I was going to go.
I was rather sneaky before Brannigan got the glaze in. That was partial glaze. So I just felt like integrating. You might find at some point you just want to do something extra beyond what we're presenting, and you've just got to tune into that and honour it.
Yes, I know that when I was learning this process, I'd always like, I need to do this. Then the next step would be, and now it's time to do this. And I'm like, oh, how wonderful. I've just done that.
Yeah. Same. You felt like you were you really meant to be where you are because you were that in tune with you've already done the next step, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. So you can just, as long as your painting is completely dry, and you're working with a good quality acrylic paint, You're absolutely free just to spray down your painting and nothing's going to happen at this stage. What that just means is we've got a little bit more flexibility when we put on our glaze layer. And we can put on our glazes in many, many different ways. So you can just use a piece of cloth and put your paint onto the cloth, wipe it over your painting. You can use a nice large paintbrush and most of the time when we're glazing, especially when you're new to glazing, it's a good idea to choose a paint that has no white in it. So a completely translucent paint. And if you don't want to change the colour of the overall colour scheme, we can do a good neutral sort of glaze with either like an iron oxide, or I'm going to go with a quinacridone nickel azo gold here, which is just a sort of transparent brownish colour that can just help to integrate. And I'm not even going to do, I'm going to do a partial glaze like a vignette around the edge of my painting. And I'm going to make sure it's really pretty wet so that if I decide it's something that I don't want to do and I don't like, I can just wipe it off. Sometimes I love to do a really heavy glaze, but I'm coming out of a phase of lots of heavy glazes, and I'm really liking the sense of lightness of not doing the heavy glazes at the moment. So the first time in my life I'm a slightly reluctant glazer. Having said that, so quite liking the overall warmth that it's bringing in.
Can you feel the cogs turning?
Yeah, I can.
And if you do feel, very, very attached to what you have there, and a glaze is going to dramatically change it, well, it's kind of opening to the unknown that we're here for.
Yes.
So we on our journeys have often been encouraged by, say, Charlotte Sophia, who is the co-founder of Intentional Creativity. She would sort of, I will encourage you to go deep. In this case, I am using very, very light.
I know, I'm like, right.
Yeah, I'm being very cautious with mine than usual.
I know. What is with the cautiousness of? These glazings are not risky.
Yeah, risky glazes.
Often you get the most alchemically magic things happen when you do a deep glaze.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like we've just transitioned from midday to sunset.
Oh, you have, yeah. Yeah, amazing.
Which then just allows a lot more exploration to happen in our process because now I'm curious as to what happens at night.
Boom, boom. If you do want to take off a little bit of the colour, you can just use a rag, or I've got just some paper towel to take off some thickness of the stain if you really, or you could use water. It's still too dark to get that lighter stain. I seem to be wanting to take that depth off, but it's not going to come. So we're going with this. My flowers are still a bit wet.
With the glazing, it just gives you the opportunity to add some depth and then add in more lights, and you can continually go through that process of building up the richness by
I'm literally dancing around the flowers because I'm getting there with the white is still a bit wet.
Oh yeah, we don't want, you don't.
I'm creating mush.
No, we don't want to do that.
Okay.
If that happens with yours, the beauty of acrylic is it dries and then you can paint over it again.
Yeah.
And like Bianca said, you can also glaze again and bring out further colors and lights on there. And in fact, the next part that we're going to go into is bringing out more lights again. So again, highlighting, bringing in, deciding is there a light source that you want to give representation to. And like we discussed before, it could come from anywhere. It could come from a particular angle for the whole image, or it could come from, each thing might have its own source of light, and you might want to highlight certain parts of your image like this, or certain figures or shapes that are coming through. And you may also want to spend some time like adorning, if you want to bring in little patterns or dots, or just adding more dimension to any of the parts in your image. So we're going to move, just naturally move as your glaze starts drying, just naturally move into highlighting and adorning and bringing in some more lights. Okay. And if you're waiting for, I'm waiting for some of my parts that have been glazed to dry. So you can also spend some time journaling again as well while you're waiting for the glaze to dry.
So often this is one of those steps where we get to go back and retrace some lines with some lights, just giving it highlights or bringing it forward if the glaze. That we generally stick to about 3 colours in the palette after you've glazed, because the idea of glazing also, what it does is it harmonises all the colours. So then basically sticking with 3 colours in your palette from there forth, it just adds some more harmony to the eye in the overall composition. It's more of an aesthetic than than to do with like, don't look for an intentional creativity purpose.
Just checking in how we are going.
Good.
And we shortly start talking about how you can bring your image to completion.
Yeah. So we can. It's a natural flow from bringing in the lights to just making any final little steps in terms of bringing in those little touches of magic that we can bring in any little symbols or sparks or. So when we were bringing in the lights, I just wanted to start to bring in some little touches of magic that were happening in here with those flowers, and that can start to become quite bring in little symbols and little suggestions of movement and a whole lot of, I guess it's bringing in the representation of the otherworldly. We can start to make suggestions of sensation and suggestions of emanations. Anywhere you're drawn on the canvas, that it's like what's actually going on there below the surface. What are we feeling into? I like to think of it as this final stage is what are my extrasensory perceptions witnessing in this painting that my eyes can't see, and how can I convey that through little subtle marks. They don't have to be subtle. They can be big and bold if you want them to be.
I believe a holiday immersed in nature is calling me.
Yes. I think so. What sort of holiday is calling you, Chantel? You're on mute.
Here we go. I had thundering motorcycles outside, so I muted myself earlier. Yeah, definitely in nature as well for me. And I think a dance party is looking about,
Yes.
or this is actually the representation of like dancing, joyfulness, freedom. What about for you, Bianca?
I think I need to just go lie under a tree on the beach, hey? It sounds a bit nice. I'm fairly certain it's not at the Gold Coast now, but but what I am going to take from this is to remember to check in to see how tight and stiff my body is getting on a maybe an hourly basis, to check in to make sure what am I holding in my body that I don't need to be, what rote patterns of being are being held there, and how can I allow myself to relax and to merge with my surroundings. The really lovely thing is, a lot of the time why one doesn't do that is because they don't feel safe to do that. But the interesting thing is, the more I've relaxed and merged with my surroundings, this beautiful gold light has emanated from around me, leaving me much more protected than I ever was before.
Yeah, like that.
Ooh. We must have been here 4 hours, have we?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I have a puppy dog that wants to sit on my feet, and she's got about a 4.5 hour tolerance. She's like, okay, remember me?
She is right on time.
Yeah, your puppy dog and my small child, who's been knocking at my door for the last 20 minutes, going, Mom, Mom.
Well, I've had a delightful time. As much as I don't have a fully completed painting, absolutely delightful. And it's the journey that matters, right? And I really have explored and feel complete in that way.
And it doesn't look far off complete. I mean, it could be, it could go on for weeks.
Yes.
Maybe this is your everyday holiday for the next couple of weeks, noting that to just like work on this for like half an hour a day to just remind your being of this state that it can inhabit.
Yes. And that's a really good prompt to introduce for those of you that are going to keep this portal open for a while and, just not complete inside 4 hours is what I'm saying. A really good, it's almost it's a closure process. It's part of ritual for us that when you complete a painting, we want to sign it and we want to, I guess, do little touch-ups. Like Bianca's sort of, I think on one of the past videos you mentioned to paint the sides. You may just be looking here, but when you hang it on a wall, you want to paint the sides if you're not going to frame it, especially, just so it looks complete and from all angles. Yeah, so even in your journaling, if there's something that has come through by way of a title and a story, you can always write on the back. You could date it and just leave yourself those messages that came through, that came with the painting. Keep them with the painting. So I often write on the back of my canvas, even part way through painting, maybe some nice words or a poem or something that is in the journal. I might write it on the canvas just so it all stays together. That way, if you look back at a year's time, it's like, oh yeah, all right, you realize where it came through. Yeah, so a little signature.
It does feel really good to do that and to mark it and to claim it, and then to write, then to do, once it's finished, to do a final journal write with any messages that are coming through your painting, or the being in your painting, the yourself in your painting. What words of advice have they got for you? It'd be a lovely way to fully, for lack of a better benefit, to fully benefit from the entire process, and to externalize all the wisdom and all the processings that have happened.
Yeah.
100%. And to listen in for a title as well. Is there a title or a name for your image? And you might want to actually paint that onto the canvas as well, along with your signature. So we highly recommend taking those steps and sharing with us too, in whatever place you want to share with us. Share your images of what
some of the most powerful words with the painting comes through me anyway, at the end, and just sitting with it. And it often takes either prose or poetry form, but it is that almost like this oracle, or through the canvas, being just and it's so powerful, really powerful actually. Even to read out loud to someone else, in a sharing, like storytelling across a fire sort of scenario, just sharing that creative expression. Pretty powerful.
We would love to, if you feel compelled to share any stories of your final paintings, we would love to hear them. That would be wonderful.
We'd have to shift rooms one day into a storytelling session. Painting walls.
Love it.
It's been so fabulous journeying with you all today. It really has been delightful.
Yeah, indeed, that's the word I would use as well. It's been delightful.
So For those of you watching now or later, thank you so much. And remember to like and subscribe to our channel, because it really does help us to get our work out to other people. And that being said, if you have anyone that you think that might enjoy our work, please share it with them. We'd love you to do that.
Yes. Right. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you again soon.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Wow.